Hello, I'm Chidi Nwaogu. I'm co-founder and CEO of Publiseer. It's a digital content distribution platform for independent African writers, musicians, and filmmakers to distribute, protect, promote, and monetize their creative content worldwide. I'm a software developer. I started my career as a video game developer. I was co-founder of a video game development company called Niger Interactive. That was in 2006. We developed video games for teenagers, educative video games. We started, our first working title was Save the Admiral. It was a 2D space shooter that used gamification to explain the concept of global warming to teenagers. After the creation of Niger Interactive, my twin and I ventured into web entrepreneurship, more like internet entrepreneurship. We created our social networking company called Lagbook. It was a background for the Ladies and Gentlemen book. Lagbook got over 1 million registered users within 3 years, and it was acquired by a Canadian tech company called GovPro Limited in 2013. That was 3 years after inception. In between, after the creation of Lagbook, we created a micro blogging platform called Oya Follow Me. It really got popular, but we had some technical difficulties and had to shut down. And before Lagbook, we created an online dating site called Single Treasures. But it had some good amount of traction, such as it got into Yahoo News. But we had some internal struggle with our co-founder, so we had to exit the company. After the acquisition of Lagbook, we started another startup company called Prayhouse. Prayhouse was acquired for 4 times the acquisition value of Lagbook, and it was acquired within 4 months from inception. And after the acquisition of Prayhouse, I went into a lot of things. I went to blogging. I went into writing. My twin brother also went into blogging with me, and also went into professional music. So he became a recording artist. It was during this phase of being creatives that the idea for Publiseer came about. My twin recorded a couple of albums. I wrote a couple of books, and it was time to make some money out of our creative content. Someone introduced him to a music aggregator that can help him to achieve this. Unfortunately, the aggregator charges a really extortionate fee for distribution. And for many upcoming creative, this is a very expensive fee, but he was able to afford it. He distributed his content with the aggregator. He made a couple of sales, and now it was time to take his royalty. And that's when the issue was discovered. First, the aggregator pays royalties via PayPal, and in Africa, many African countries, including Nigeria and Ghana, where we're from, this is not a feasible payment system. So he had to rely on the check payment. 2 months down the line, the check never came, and so he reached out to Tunco to understand what the problem or the delay was all about. That was when he discovered that somebody from Oslo, Norway, used a fake ID to take his money, and then he had to take his content down from Tuncor. But then we were left with 3 important information. One was that the distribution fee for existing content distributors are very expensive, that the royalty payment system by these aggregators are not feasible for African creatives, and that they don't even distribute to African stores. And that was when the idea for Publisher came about. He said to me, why don't we create a platform that actually solves this problem for African creatives? And we created Publisher. So far, we've helped over 3,000 creatives to generate over $150,000 in revenue. And we've partnered with the International Publishing Association, the International Publishers Association rather, and the International Publishing Distribution Association. And we're currently in 5 African countries, and we are planning expansion into 4 more African countries this year. We distribute content like ebooks, audiobooks, short and feature films, and music videos and songs. My entrepreneurial career has been a series of up and downs. It's not been like a linear success, story. We've had the moments where we had to pivot, iterate, and we've had the periods where we really took off, and we've had the period where we really celebrated a milestone and a win, and then the period where we fell or crashed, and burnt completely. So it's as an entrepreneur, what I understood, during the journey is, I discovered I discovered three things. The first one I discovered was that it's very important for you to fall in love with the problem that you're solving and not the solution that you're building, because usually the first solution that you come about is not usually the right solution, and then you have to get some feedback from your customers, and you have to iterate, you have to pivot, and you have to you have to fail at some point, learn from that failure, and then try again, more intelligently. I also discovered that you have to understand that the why is more important than the how. So why you're doing what you're doing is more important than how you're going to do it, because there will come a time when, and I assure you, there's going to come a time where you question the reason why what you're doing, why you keep doing what you're doing, because there'll be so much challenges, there'll be so much setbacks, there'll be so much failures that you'd ask yourself, you begin to question your credibility and your competency. So it's the why, why you started doing what you're doing in the first place will keep you going. For example, some people's why is that they don't want to go back to where they're coming from. Maybe they're coming from a life of poverty, they're coming from a life of lack, they're coming from a life of maybe of neglect, and they're trying not to go back to that same condition, or feel the same way they used to feel before. So you have to constantly you have to have a why to what you're doing, and constantly remind yourself every day, because that why will keep you going when everything seems to be falling down. And the last one is that your perception, is very important. The way you see things is very important. People might see failures, as a setback, but if you see failure as a success, and you learn from it, it's completely different. That's what differentiates the common people and those are extraordinary. The way they see things, their perception about life. They don't, see setbacks as something that should push them behind, push them back and make them say to themselves that they are not enough. They rather see setback as indication that they are not there yet, but they can be there if they work harder. So for example, I remember in 2018 I applied to Westerwelle Fellowship in Berlin, and I got the rejection. And I said to myself, it's not that I am not enough, to be a Westerwelle Fellow. It's just that I am not there yet. So I said to myself, I'll take a break from applying to Westerwelle. I would work hard on my solution. I would look very clearly on my problem and understand how big the problem is and how and how I can better solve it. I'll try and get more traction, get more proof of concept, more like I have to prove to myself and to them that what I'm doing is actually worth it. And I spent 1 year actually doing that. Then I applied to Westerwelle the following year, and I got in. So it's just a proof. It's just a proof that it's not that you're not good enough. It's just that you're not there yet, and you should just keep working harder. It's everybody is good enough. It's just hard work is very important. They say talent is good, but talent without hard work is useless, because if you're talented and you're not working hard, and somebody is not talented but working 5 times or 10 times as hard, there's very high chances that they're going to take or replace you in whatever you're doing. So talent is not enough. It's hard work that really matter. Yeah. So thanks for listening, and I hope you have a lovely day ahead. Bye.